That being said, I want to give a shout out to a few teams that have come out in surprise here, namely Cabal. I think is the one that I wanted to talk about, you know, beating Team Notorious just today. Phenomenal performance from them. And then Vegas Academy as well. They are the guys that did not qualify for Season 2, and you and I got to cast them, I think, a couple of times today, Bryce. They looked awesome in every single appearance. But with that said, we are down to our final 4 teams now. Omit, GG, and the Royal Spartans vying for a spot in the top 3. And going back to that bracket, the winner of this matchup will face Team War in the losers bracket finals. That is not going to be an easy matchup.
No, it certainly isn't. But today is a new day. Of course, these teams, it all matters about how they play today. They've done the hard work yesterday. They've played till 3:30 in the morning. They've woken up and they're ready to go again. But here's the truth of it. There are no more excuses today. It is win these games or be forgotten. For 3 of our teams, of course, they will have to make their way through the lower side of this bracket, starting with this semi-final, then the lower final. One team has a bit of a rest. It's the Mission Magpies. Surprising team, and they'll be sitting in the grand final, probably not even awake yet. Vance is probably just having a little sleep in his hotel room, knowing that he doesn't have to get through the gauntlet even more so.
Yeah, you know what's funny is the European teams always come to these events ever so slightly jet lagged. I've done it myself. I've been to Toronto a couple of times now, and every single time it takes me like a day or two to kind of reset myself. For these guys especially, that is still going to be the case. It's almost like now that they've got a kind of rest in comparatively to the rest of the teams that had to fight through that super duper long lower bracket. Kind of feels like it's a reset of that, right? They no longer have to deal with that jet lag anywhere near as much because they have had the chance to have a rest. They will be coming fresh-faced into that grand finals matchup. But on the flip side of that conversation, more often than not, you see these situations where a team in the grand finals might end up going in ever so slightly cold comparatively to the team coming from lowers. And it has to be said, there is no advantage to coming in from the upper bracket finals other than not having to play those lower bracket matches. These guys are going to be all even Stevens. And you know what there's also no advantage to? There's also no advantage to blowing yourself and a teammate up at the start of a game of Hardpoint.
All right, let's get right into this one. Omit GG, probably one of the worst starts you could have in a series and in the day. But it shouldn't really matter around the mix that it is P1. It will give the Royal Spartans maybe just a slight boost with a few points as everybody throwing down, looking for this one. Of course, still got the good spawns here, Omit GG. And I think for now, a full wipe will put them right back in the driving seat.
You know that if you're Omit GG here at the start of this game, you could have a brilliant start on the whole here by making sure you're on the right side of the map for all those P2 rotations. And Royal Spartans also kind of know that. They're trying to pull off a sneaky-ass mission to try and make their way over towards P2. Product doing exactly that with the initial fights here, but immediately gets shut down. These gunfights are all going Omit GG's way. So as far as the initial attempt there from Royal Spartans to traverse the map and flip spawns for P2 goes, that totally falls awry.
Well, so far Omit doing a very, very good job hammering the Royal Spartans. And for the Spartans, you've got to really ask, you know, is there going to be much more of a push coming through? Because it's being a bit of a slow boil for them. And they need to make a wave of kills. Sandy's already going to take advantage of this one, but will go down. And that's actually opened it up massively here. The Royal Spartans almost walked through that one. Omit GG seemed to have the battle line set and then dissolved.
That's not the best positioning from Omit GG. They're really unfortunate. At the end of the day, though, not going to be too upset with it. You would have liked an early advantage. You're still going to send a couple of players in towards this scrap time, but you lose 20 seconds of time. The next hill, there's another opportunity for them to garner a lot of time away from the Royal Spartans. They are going to get chowed out of scrap time. And now the gunfights towards Nuke become all the more important. Gunzy trying to play spoiler here, but is going to get shut down. Has to be said that this is not the solid hold from Omit GG on this hill just yet. Royal Spartans are trying to penetrate the back line.
Still very much all to play for. Nobody in too much of an advantage. As Darkside, that's a huge two-piece to take that one away. And so far, Omit GG not being too aggressive with this push. You can see they're waiting for position to try and get some trades here, but that's how to say, hey, I'll take another kill very easily.
Really nicely played from Royal Spartans right now, just playing the trades out towards this hard point. Omit GG here, trying to find their way back through. This is a 25 seconds worth of time to not give away. Brack has been shooting all weekend long, wants to do it again. Will get a little bit overzealous there in towards the play. So shut down here as the Royal Spartans vie for the last 15 seconds of time. Good effort here from RST's the newest player to join this Omit GG lineup, and it's not going to happen. So Royal Spartans will get a better look on that hard point here, Bryce. Spartans up on 5 in a row off the back of it, but this break towards New, that's going to be difficult.
Well, they're putting the pressure on in all the right places. Unfortunately, trade's just not good enough. And Sparty, all that'll be is a slow down. Team is staggered, team respawning across the map. Spartan really can't do much at the moment. All going to have to stack again. You can see they're doing just that, but there are no trades. Sparty's like, where are my team? I've waited twice for them to get here. Nobody has won a single gunfight. It is a huge hold by Omit GG.
That's really solid work from Omit GG, but you've just lost a player through the middle of the map here. That's a much better starting towards this hard point from the Royal Spartans. You've dealt with the pressure in the little map. Now you should be able to flip Omit GG out as well, but the problem is you've got players towards the bathtub. It's such a difficult position to take players out of. Royal Spartans know it as well, and now as we hit the last 15 seconds inside that hard point, Royal Spartans will have to give that up. Hit a metal regain hit, go towards New. Already starting to win some of the gunfights, but it's not quite convincing enough just yet.
Bragg going for the pistol. Chow, but may have just been a little bit outplayed there as the movement hits him with a force. And the Royal Spartans looking for this one, but Johnny's decided to call in the missile from up top. It's not going to get an awful lot. A little bit of information, but his teammates are staggered and losing trades. So really, all it's done is save them about 8 seconds.
Yeah, definitely could have seen better use of that cruise missile there. See, I'm getting it. We're just calling it Predator Missile of yesterday. We're now back to the cruise missile. We're locked in here for this lower bracket semi-final. Royal Spartans also looking locked in here, able to get a string of kills together. That is dangerous now for Omit GG. All of your hopes of flipping these spawns out rest on one player. Stanley's just got good timing on towards one. Now looking to thread the needle between all these different players. And I mean, these team shots are good enough, right? You deal with a couple of players. Now you're looking to try and pick players up alongside your teammates. Omit GG off that one play from Stanley will flip the spawns out. Phenomenal map play from him.
Gunsy just threw a nade, then ran into his own grenades. That's always going to be a little bit tricky to get away with. You know exactly where the explosion's going to be, but trying to do everything he can. Seems to be the main player at the moment for the Royal Spartans, but without trades or positioning, it's not going to translate into points. Arsenal's just trying to hold the back here again. Last time around, Omit GG gave this away a bit too easily to the Royal Spartans, and again, they don't seem to be in the best position.
You're already starting to gunfights in by the pie, and you're trying to hunt down any of these Royal Spartans players that might be hanging around, not able to do it. But as I say that, Brack able to double up here. Is it good enough? Johnny doubling up from the right side too. Just one more player isolated, and Darkside needs to play his life. Standing on the hunt for that player. Darkside will have wasted enough time to give the last couple of Royal Spartans players a good look towards this hard point. Look at Gunsy in the backline. Omit GG probably are not going to read this, and they won't, but Gunsy has a little bit more work to do for this. Scrap time does not matter. Brack gonna outgun him, and now you know where the spawning players are as well. Brack trying to brace himself for the players coming through. Almost manages to steal away a second there, but Brack does a lot of damage towards Omit, or towards Royal Spartans in terms of getting that scrap time.
Stanley just trying to stay alive. Knows it could have been a big play if he did so. Hasn't managed it, and the rest of Omit GG will now have to try and hit this in a difficult way. 3 from the front. They're going to need another player to try and defuse from the back, but Johnny kills 2, so it doesn't actually matter as Arsenes gets his own 2 as well. And, wow, Omit GG headbutt and won that.
Just the AR prowess right now of Omit GG. Arsenes is one of those players you just added to the lineup. You'll be feeling all the better for it. A bit kind of concerned that it was a lateral move at first. Arsenes sometimes maybe not able to slay out, but he's been able to do it time and time again this weekend and shows it right there, right then. You've now got more work to do. You've lost scrap time. You're also starting to lose the rotation as well. Omit GG looking a little bit individual here on this play. You've just lost the player furthest pushed up as well. Now you are looking for some kind of individual heroics. You're not going to find it from Bragg. So Royal Spartans here, they might well be down by 30 points in this game, Bryce. But they do have an opportunity to come back with a solid hold on this hill. Omit GG were able to do it last time around. Royal Spartans now need to do it themselves.
Oh, so far, so good. Holding it off. Spart staying in it at the moment. Pro Luke just soaking up the time. Hasn't been having the best of the game. Gonna have to try and chow this one because Johnny's throwing a nade passes here, and so far so good for the Royal Spartans. Will have this locked down, but losing a couple of kills. The good spawn for them is going to give them a little bit of pressure relief, but not if they keep losing these kills.
Yeah, you've just lost everything. Nice play from Stanley here towards the back line. Hitting a quick regen here before going for the reach out. You've also lost your teammates, so there's no real reason to get over aggressive there. It isn't good enough. So Royal Spartans actually should be able to take the lead here. It is a momentary lapse in control of the hard point, in which Omit GG are able to take away, but it is only for a moment as Royal Spartans now take the lead in this game. It's going to be a tentative one going into the third final set of hills. A back and forth game so far. Spart has been the slayer for Royal Spartans. Another 4 spree for him. If he can obtain a cruise missile at the back of 1 more spree, Royal Spartans will be able to use that to perfection. But P2 is probably not going to be the hill you want to use it on.
We're going to see at the moment, Darkside just waiting. Timing might be good enough. Gonna have to find somebody. Unfortunately, while he's got all the way through the back line, eventually finds the first. They'll now have to turn and deal with him. Still nobody really being able to lock him down. Trying to take down the trophy system. Missed that and still alive and still kicking. Been an awful long time where nobody has found him not going to a gunfight, but there's his second kill. Eventually will stay alive and take away some of that time on P1. And that's what Royal Spartans have been playing for. On the other side of it, Omit GG don't want to commit too hard. They're going to rely on P2.
Yeah, you kind of can't afford to give away this last 20 seconds, but also you don't want to overcommit, as you said. P2 is a big rotation to give up. Shout out to Darkside, though. His positioning has been a constant nuisance for teams that Royal Spartans have had to go up against. Constant flank man for Royal Spartans this weekend. Now looking to do it again. The SMGs of Royal Spartans starting to go high and aggressive. Spart finding value towards the backline now. All down to Gunsy. You can see him, the lone ranger for the Royal Spartans. How much value can he find?
Arsenes has to back down to try and get this trade for his teammate. It does exactly that. Omit GG. So far, so good. And it's Arsenes on a 3 streak. Holds it. We'll wait for his life to come back. But this time, maybe just this time, Omit GG can hold this from the Royal Spartans. Not been so successful so far, but Arsenes trying to hold them at bay.
So difficult to break. You got to get your SMGs around the back line, and it just isn't happening. Royal Spartans are throwing themselves at Omit GG 1 by 1. Oh, the pro loop towards the hill at the very least is going to find some value, but Stanley looking to double up, and that's going to be it. Omit GG, another wave of gunfights. They still need a full 100% hold on this hill to close things out here.
Arsenes with the player who just makes sure that the top and front is locked in. The rest of the players already going around the back. Arsenes will have to help them out in just a second as Brack will be screaming for reinforcements. Not going to help. And Omit GG know now that they've got that spawn out already. This is definitely going towards P3. No, it's not. They got it. Oh, my goodness. I thought the contest was going to be enough, but they slipped in with a player jumping on the hill in the last second. And Omit GG just took that away.
I was convinced that Prolit was on the point there towards the end. I'm not too sure if there's like some kind of barrier or something that prevents the player from getting in towards the hard point in time with the tick over, but Prolit not going to jump into the hill for the closing moments. Omit GG locked it down on the rotation. Man, that was such a close hard point between those two teams.
It really was. I'm actually going back and watch that on the replay on the main thing just to kind of keep an eye on it as it goes through the motions again. So I'm just watching how close that was. I thought that they weren't going to get the tick. So the first player comes in. I mean, in fairness to Johnny absolutely destroyed them in a second. And, well, I'll be honest with you, that is the longest I've seen a 0-0 on the scoreboard when it should have ticked over to the next hill ever. But somehow that tick went through 2 players. One obviously died. The second player just managed to get there just after it. That is the most craziest timing.
Just like so many moments in that game where Omit GG just about managing to kind of eke out their opposition on a multitude of hard points. You can see in the middle of the game there where Omit GG did manage to get the better of Royal Spartans over and over again. It was only towards the end of the game where Royal Spartans actually managed to do anything of note, but we talk about it time and time again on Skyline Hardpoint. P2 rotation can win or lose games. And for Royal Spartans, try as they might, they just not could slip Darkside and Gunsy behind enemy lines to cause enough havoc. I think Spart was actually the furthest player pushed forward with an SMG to actually do something about that rotation, and even he could not be successful in breaking that hill. So just fundamental P2 control from Omit will close out a relatively close hardpoint game. A phenomenal performance from both teams, though.
Well, so far, so good. Omit GG open up proceedings. And it could have been either way. Like I said, I was expecting maybe to go into a P3. I was already keeping it on the mini-map where the Spartans were there first. But, hey, sometimes you need a little bit of luck, and that little bit of luck just gave the tick on that tiny second when the player wasn't on it. But, hey, that's the way it goes. The game is, you know, it's maths. That's what it is. It's just going to be maths. You have to sit there and just accept it. But as we go through into the S&D, Omit GG will be looking to try and put this one over. A lot of people think this Omit GG is just a very good team and one of the favorites for taking the entire thing.
Yeah, for good reason, right? Again, you know, I go back to the conversation about Omit GG, I think, in Season 2. A lot of people, like a lot of teams that maybe didn't have the best Season 2 performances, probably didn't come into this event thinking that Omit were much of a threat at all. You think about Omit, you think about the Season 2 champions, Omit Brooklyn, and if you're not well-versed in challenges, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the other Omit team are lesser. Well, that certainly hasn't been the case this event, because Omit GG came out and 3-0'd their sister or brother team, and Omit GG have looked solid. But going back to Season 2, again, I mentioned it at the top of the broadcast here, the reason that Season 2 didn't go well for Omit was the fact that come playoffs, they actually played the 1 and 2 team from the entirety of the event. They got knocked into the lower bracket by the Royal Spartans before becoming another name on Omit Brooklyn's insane lower bracket run. So Omit GG, I think that top 8 placement is super duper deceptive. You've now added Arstes to the roster as well, and I think I was kind of weighing up whether or not that is actually an upgrade over Illy. I think Arstes has proved that is the case this event, despite maybe not having the best online performance, has been playing relatively well here on LAN. So Omit GG looking up at the moment here. You're looking for revenge versus the Royal Spartans, and again a reminder that back to that matchup in Season 2, Royal Spartans I believe were able to win it in a 3-1 fashion. Not too sure kind of which maps went which way. I'd actually have to check that, but still, it was Royal Spartans who took away last time around.
Certainly does. Well, while we're waiting for this lobby to get underway, let's remind everybody of the teams to watch so far in this tournament and what their fate exactly was. Well, starting at Team Notorious, they did a pretty good job right up until they run against their main rivals in Europe. Team Katana took them down yesterday, and Team Katana then ended up falling out themselves just one round later.
Yeah, and this is one of the biggest storylines from this event, right? Team Notorious, you talk about both them and Omit Brooklyn, who are right above them, right below them, excuse me, both winning their respective regions of Challengers Elite. They come into this event as hot favorites. Again, I had these guys as the number 1 and number 2 teams in that order, actually, for this event as well. But I think Team Notorious just maybe ran out of gas in that lower bracket. You got to remember that they went for a super duper long run. They went through what? Avenge Esports, Pioneers, then of course Omit Brooklyn in that Game 5 thriller before kind of running out of gas into Katana Gaming. But it was a close series. It went all the way to a Game 5, and Katana were able to take out that EU rivals. So I know that Team Notorious will be disappointed with their performance this weekend, but well, unfortunately that's just the way it goes sometimes. Looking around the grounds though, I'm going to try and take a little bit more of a positive spin on things here. Again, I mentioned it at the top of the show. Cabal and Vegas Academy have been 2 massive storylines for me this weekend, albeit their final placements have been less than desirable, we'll say. I think the fact that Cabal were able to take down one of the best teams in the entire tournament, and Team Notorious put them down into that lower bracket, was a serious achievement for those guys. And then for Vegas Academy, a name that not a lot of people have had their minds on coming into this tournament, I most certainly didn't, and that's no disrespect to them, as they were firing on all cylinders, albeit with a slightly different roster back in Season 1 of North American Challengers Elite. Still, they've surprised a lot of teams. They actually took Royal Spartans all the way to a Game 5, and it was that matchup that put them down into the lower bracket. So Vegas Academy definitely need a lot more love, but a top 12 placement was where they finished. But we are down to our final 4 teams here, folks. Omit GG and the Royal Spartans in the lower bracket semi-finals, looking for a spot against Team War in the lower bracket finals. Omit GG now 1-0 up.
Well, let's see. Can they convert any further forward, of course? Round 1, S&D. Always a little bit weird with no trophies about, and Brack is in a bit of trouble there. Has to back off completely, but it will be Arstes to get that first blood. And so far, they haven't really gone for getting this bomb down, as it goes down to a 3 versus 3, a 3 versus 2. Omit GG have thrown their life advantage away.
Just a little bit overzealous from Omit GG, maybe feeling themselves ever so slightly too much, but last couple of players here in a bit of an odd position. I think Stanley in particular, position that Royal Spartans weren't necessarily expecting, able to catch one player off guard. Proloot also kind of catching Stanley off guard in turn. But again, you're not going to know where Brack is located. You're going to anticipate that he's somewhere near Stanley. That's not the case. Bomb now down, though. It's going to be a fast retake from the SMGs.
They're looking for him, trying to work out where he's gone, and there'll be the first kill there for him. Can he get traded? He knows where the player's going to be. Will he play time? I don't think he will. He's not got the life back yet. He's waiting for this regen. It's so long to get for him as he keeps just flying back, and that's a wonderful clutch. Perfect movement. Waited for the regen. Got himself into another great position, and a 1 versus 2 for Omit GG.
Yeah, I feel like Proloot and Darkside went at that just a little bit too individual there. Early aggression from Darkside was almost immediately punished, and Brack managing to work his position to perfection. Didn't want to shoot under the truck. Did Proloot in that situation, was just trying to play around it, in a great backup in that moment from Brack. Again, Brack has been frying. It's worth saying that he is statistically one of the top performers in North American Challengers Elite for Season 2. Again, didn't exactly get much of a chance to prove that, considering they barely made it through anything in playoffs. So Omit GG starts strong, big 1 versus 2 coming out from Brack. Now Royal Spartans will want to stabilize in this round.
So far, haven't got this bomb down, but a pretty standard opener from them. Players watching out towards Paul. Players watching back spawn, and 2 in the point. Omit GG are stacking this for a retake. Arceus is going in with his teammates. There are players behind him, but they didn't see Gunty, but it's going to be a team kill. A 2 versus 1. Stanley, that's a huge fight if you can win it, which you won't. It's going to give Royal Spartans the round. Brack will have to pull off a 1 versus 3, and he doesn't know where the bodies are. Eventually we'll find one, but there's just too many guns against him.
Yeah, Gunzy going crazy there inside the site. He doesn't win those fights. Make no mistake. That is a retake coming through from Omit GG. But Gunzy makes it happen there. Gunzy, of course, one of those players that I think a lot of people haven't really had much of a chance to talk about over the last couple of years. He's always been maybe a mid-table player in North American challenges, right? Most known for his appearances in the likes of SGP Syndicate or NRK Anarchy. Now, more recently, he's finally got himself an opportunity to shine. He is doing that here. We had a huge clutch from Bracky in round number 1. Huge play from Gunzy in round number 2. What will round number 3 deliver, Bryce?
Well, I'm guessing an A plant.
You think?
Yeah, pretty standard. And Johnny will catch a nade to the face. A double nade. There's no trophies there. And that's advantage to the Royal Spartans. Again, now a 2 versus 4. This is all falling apart for Omit GG. While they've gone for that standard A push, it's not worked out for them. Stanley's going to try and find one back as well, but now is alive. The bomb down on the other side of the map, and, well, Stanley, it's no good.
Yeah, you lose your mid-map coverage there for Omit GG. The last couple of players really have no choice in a 2 versus 4, considering they're already kind of out of the sight to make moves towards opposite sides of the map. Right goes down. You already know where Stanley is, and the round is an easy retake from the Royal Spartans. Good effort from Omit GG, but the lack of those early round trophy systems, I think, kind of messed them up a little bit.
Maybe some adjustments for that one. It doesn't mean they're going to be a little bit more cautious about the stairs. Can't afford another double nade to rob you of that first blood. Royal Spartans, though, feeling pretty good about it. They could be 3-0 up if they hadn't been clutched on.
It is going to be an immediate hay hit here from Royal Spartans. Same kind of strategy as always. Omit GG looking for some kind of presence through the middle of the map. Sparta is the reason they're not able to do it. So, changing of the strategy here for Omit GG. Making their move through the top hallway instead. Spark will be out of this play. He is very far removed from this. This is technically a 4 versus 3 unless Spark can get some good timing on the re-hit.
Standy. Trophy's just going to put him off for a few seconds. So he finds one, and, well, that's a little bit of a disjointed push. And maybe just teamwork off a tiny bit there. Didn't seem like the most concentrated push it could have been, and Royal Spartans said, all right, we'll take that easily, thank you. Yeah,
I'll be honest, I think Omit GG is just a little bit fragmented there, and I also think they were ever so slightly worried about the presence of Spark towards the backline. That's where you see Brack somewhat out of the play. They knew that Spark's not the kind of player to be playing inside the site. You have to get kind of clear that back area. They took so long to do that it didn't exactly work in the end. So maybe not the best play from Omit GG on the retake, but now they will have an offense to try and stabilize ever so slightly. But that 2-round advantage coming out from the Royal Spartans is everything. We look through the first 4 rounds so far. All even Stevens as far as first bloods are concerned.
Trophy down, very important. Standy a little bit worried because he doesn't have anybody actually overlooking him on the site, so he's doing this alone, but it will go down. Brack will get the first blood as well. Big advantage here from it, GG. Johnny will get out of there knowing that he's a little bit vulnerable after you've made yourself found, but already down to a 4 versus 2.
Yeah, very difficult now because you know have the information if you're Omit GG. Real Spartans trying to find a way through. Catch these players off guard. That's a good start from Darkside. Proloot also going to get standing out into the open here. Last couple of plays split though for Omit GG. You spot one out towards the middle of the map. Do you know where Brack's located?
And have they thrown this away? Brack will find one, but that bomb is being defused. And, well, it's too little. It's too late. The Spartans have just clutched up massively against Omit GG, who have thrown that round away.
And again, it has to be said, it feels a little bit like a miscommunication for Omit GG, right? You have the play call that Proloot was up top. I'm not too sure which player it was, but somebody was taking shots against him earlier on in the round. You know that that player is located there, and yet still ProLoot is able to fly through and find value. That is very unfortunate, and it was not an airtight post-plant position for Omit whatsoever. Real Spartans picking apart the errors of Omit GG's search and destroy at this point in time. Should be said, Omit GG, very strong at search and destroy back in Season 2. It was, again, statistically their best game mode across the board. So to lose it here in this game fight, or this series, would not be that great.
Can GG recover? It really has been not the greatest of time for them. Royal Spartans looking confident in every move they make. So far waiting this out. I mean, they've got the numbers advantage. They can pretty much dictate the terms of play. Can't be an awful lot left for them to really do but get this round over, and that could have been a bit of a misplay, but fortunately get away with it, and there's another kill. 2 versus 4.
Yeah, they were just waiting a really long time here for Omit GG to make the first move, and that's a really smart play from the Royal Spartans. You've studied Omit over the last few rounds of play. You know that they're kind of erratic in the way in which they play. You know more likely than not that they're going to be the ones to push, and they wait ever so patiently for that push to come through. And they are gunning them at the moment as well. Spart doing things like that. That should never happen.
Well, let's see. Can Omit GG fight back into this? Because so far, the answer has been no. Been a bit of a clutch early on, but nothing really since. They will have the attack again. Johnny, moving fast. I think they might go for a fast plant here by the look of it. Straight in towards the bottom. Royal Spartans ready. All by the broken hole for the retake. And they're jumping down. They're going for this. His body's in. And Johnny's trying to get them. They line up for him. And they will have the advantage this time, Omit GG.
Yeah, very standard round of search and destroy there. Royal Spartans just decide to try and swarm the A site on the defense. Omit GG come out on top with the trades. And that's what you need at this stage of the series. This stage of this game, I should say. Omit needs standard rounds of search and destroy. And you can do that on offense, right? I mean, that's the way Vault Search and Destroy is kind of made up. There are ways in which it's been more difficult to get the bomb down on A sites over the last few months on Vault S&D, but for the most part, you know what to expect at this point. The curious thing for me is how do Omit play this defense now? Because Royal Spartans, I mean, all they realistically need to do is hit the A site first, win the gunfights. I make it sound so easy, but as long as they play this round standard, they should get the dub here.
Well, you can see Omit GG have gone for a retake on a site that isn't taken. Let's give them a little bit of information, and Sandy will look for a pick here. But right now, everybody's spread out. Will Darkside check this close corner? Waiting for it. Sandy's got it. Got to wait. Huge first blood there for Omit GG.
Strategy for Real Spartans off the start of this round has been one with this sort. Their prior offense, wait for Omit to get aggressive. This time, though, they've not really, for the most part, caught them off guard. It's a nice trade coming through from ProLoot. Gives them a little bit more autonomy in this round. Yet still, Royal Spartans now do not have the information to work with. Omit GG still have full A site control. But here's the play call. 35 on the clock. Royal Spartans now rotating their way towards B. Brack has to be the player to make this call, and he's sitting inside Vault. Brack could be the player to blow this entire thing wide open.
Oh, they will be watching for it. They know that there could be a player in there, and I think they've just seen him as well, but that should be challenged. Brack is going to have to back down. This bomb will go down here for Royal Spartans, and they don't lose a player.
That's unfortunate. Now Omit need to fly across the map. Good read from ProLoot as well to recognize that a player's probably going to take the long route behind enemy lines. Stanley cut down for that. Brack now tagged up by a nade, unlikely to win the fight. And Royal Spartans, great play calls there. Albeit, if you don't get that trade down to a 3 versus 3, that probably doesn't happen the way it does. But still, playing the map to perfection. Ballsy play call to rotate away and take the round in the end. Brilliant, brilliant play call.
Managed to get it done, and realistically, you got to ask what happened to Omit GG in that one. So many times, just felt a little bit disconnected, a little bit like they just didn't have a plan or communication, and Royal Spartans just didn't make the mistakes.
And you look over towards the kind of the end graphic here, showing you guys all the first bloods, the way in which these guys are able to win the round. It's not exactly like Royal Spartans were winning the first bloods for the majority of the rounds. You look over it, and you can see Omit GG with that little red triangle in there. They get first blood 5 out of the 8 rounds that are played. And that's Royal Spartans just coming out, not just with the clutch propensity here, but also I think with Omit, you saw it a multitude of different occasions there where they just kind of collapsed, right? Omit just not doing that well as a team to keep control of the map. We saw, I think, a couple of rounds, I think particularly in rounds number 4 and 5, where they were playing super duper erratically, not playing as a team on their retakes, their hits. Royal Spartans playing off that. I think it was, what, a 4-1 advantage when that was happening. Royal Spartans just looked much, much better, much more well put together in that search and destroy.
They certainly were. They looked pretty good moving forward, so all tied up. And that means this could go either way. At least 2 more maps for these 2 teams to move forward in this tournament. And yeah, for every bit that I thought maybe Omit GG looked like the stronger team in that first respawn, just didn't really look like they're on the same level as the Royal Spartans in the S&D.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Omit, their search and destroy during Season 2 was great, right? Albeit Vault wasn't the best map for them. I think it was probably actually one of the worst maps, so that might be why maybe Royal Spartans looked better on that. But still, like, they weren't even really playing to the fundamentals of Vault all that well, just not doing that great on the retake. So I think towards the end of the search and destroy, towards the last couple of rounds, they finally started to play it a little bit more fundamentally. You could see that on their offense, just hit the site. They knew they could win the gunfights. On the next defense, they hit the site on the defense, try and get site control. But Royal Spartans, their adaptations, just a little bit too much to handle.
Certainly won't. Well, Control is coming up next. That's coming up after this short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the Challengers coverage here at the Major. We are jumping into Omit GG versus the Royal Spartans as they go into map 3. I'm quite unsure why my accent changed.
You know what? Sometimes I've been spending a lot of time with Americans recently, Bryce. I'm sure you've noticed it if you've been watching any broadcast at all. If you watch any mobile at all. And I don't know what it is. Every so often, I'll say, like, route instead of route. And I honestly just have to take a second for myself and think, I don't know what I'm doing in life anymore. I need to get my British back. I think that's what we need to do. Anyway, Omit versus Royal Spartans. Really excited for this one. Looking forward to the control. Both of these teams have a 50-50 record, more or less, in Season 2 for control. So, really, it does feel like this is a throw-up in every single category.
Well, we'll find out at the moment. Royal Spartans just getting that progress down today after a bit of a wipe, and Omit might not really even have a chance to retake this. They haven't stacked it here, the Royal Spartans, so there is still a slight chance. There's already bodies are going down. Gunty will find one, won't find the second, and A hasn't been captured.
Yeah, it's all well and good. You've got Gunty pushed forward here, but you do need help from the back line, and all those players fall apart. So Royal Spartans going to have to start from square one here. Got a couple of ticks of progression, so it will be just one hit required, more or less, for Royal Spartans to make the move forward. You can already see themselves starting to set up for that. Making sure the reinforcements are cut off from the source. Spark from up top, or Dark Side, excuse me, from up top, putting some shots in. Spark will be the one to find the pressure. 40 seconds left now. You've got Omit out in the middle of the map. Now's the go time for these kills to come through.
Gunty trying to stay alive. There's a lot of pressure coming through, but Spark deflects it all, and this should be a lock-in, and Arsenal's trying to slow them down. So's Johnny, and it's too little, it's too late. It's been captured. Got to be careful now. The transition over to B is upon us.
I'm kind of surprised in a way that they haven't sent their SMGs forwards for potential flanking play here. Johnny and Stanley are playing somewhat slow and making sure and being uber cautious that they don't allow any Royal Spartans players in behind enemy lines. But you've now just lost the player furthest push forward. Now Royal Spartans starting to get the move, but now you're seeing it. SMGs looking to cause some mayhem, standing on the map. But he might have to be careful here that he doesn't get over aggressive. He needs to get in towards his play and stop the players that have moved forward.
And this is where it gets just a little bit tense. Standy trying to farm off the start here. Probably really wants to get across. It's going to be a bit of a grind for them to do so. Already the first domino has fallen. They've cleared their lines a little bit. The Royal Spartans will now look to make a move forward. But you can see Omit GG have split this map very effectively. They are watching the angles.
Yeah, Omit have pushed Royal Spartans very far back here. Despite the fact a couple of kills come through, Royal Spartans are still going to have to work for map control. That's 3 down though. One player push forward. A lot rests on Standy here. He now gets shot up, and I love this from the Royal Spartans. They are trying to call game with a full 3 stack.
Just got bodies on it. The trophies you can hear banging in the background, deflecting all the grenades. That second tick is now in, and Omit GG have got to move. Somebody has to touch the point. I know everybody's pre-aimed in, but that could have been too little too late. On the minimap, nobody was moving.
They were just waiting for Royal Spartans to make some kind of mistake, right? You know, get out from behind cover, but they did nothing. Absolutely nothing to get aggressive themselves. I think everyone just didn't want to be the player to throw the round away. And in the end, I think everybody as a collective on Omit did exactly that. The team play, again, it's what we were talking about in the Search and Destroy. I don't want to quite criticize them for it because their team play has been exemplary the entirety of this weekend thus far. But in this series, I've seen glimpses of maybe that team play not being at 100%.
And will that cost them in the end? That'll be the real question. Omit GG find themselves down here in the control. Can they fight back enough? They're looking for their own attacking round. Arsenal's with a big couple of first kills.
That's a formidable start from Omit. And Royal Spartans are going to have no choice here but to immediately give up a lot of progression, at least over by B. Spark, I think, activates just a little bit too early. I really would have loved to have seen Spark hold his trigger there, because now you've lost your kills, now you've lost players, and all of a sudden here, Omit, what a phenomenal start. It's flawless from them. They're now making progress towards B, and a flanking play from Johnny as well to potentially blow the defense wide open.
This may already be over. Look at this. They're getting every single point they can. Johnny going back and forth will eventually fall. Wait a minute, Johnny made out of stern and stuff, not able to get the turn and burn. But Omit GG, while splitting the map, have got a tick onto B, but haven't actually secured A yet.
They've got to be careful here. Again, not keeping an eye on each other's backs. Asti was just basically alone in the middle of the map there. Brack was not helping whatsoever. You've just lost Standy too. All of a sudden, I mean, look, it was a big gamble from Omit to not capture A. They could well have just added the extra 60 seconds and be done with it, but gamble to get that B-tick now, I think, has lost the map control. They're now going to have to regain it if they want to get A done, and that's a beautiful double from Gunzy. Now looking to make it 3, will not be able to, but make it be known, Omit here have to work for map control once again.
Well, one of the benefits they've got is they really stopped that clock a lot early on, so they've still got time to play with. Got to be careful. One more push fails, and they could be in serious trouble, and you already see they're being cautious about this push. Nobody engaging quite yet.
25 seconds, you kind of have to. Got to go now. A couple of kills come through here. Just one more player to deal with towards a point. Somebody please take out Spart. Somebody take Spart out of the play. As Spart finds a crucial double. Just one player to do something here for Omit. Arstes has to find some time.
Spart's still going to be alive here, but will eventually go down. And for Omit GG, this is all about getting on board 8. Stop the clock at 9.9 seconds. Darkside is tempted to go for it, but he knows there's just too many bodies against him. They've got an extra minute on the clock here, Omit.
Crucially, they've got a 3 life advantage as well, so not all is lost. Could have been in that round, but it's not. They'll have a chance to hit the regain hit. Calm before the inevitable storm that would be a massive hit from Omit towards B. They've already got one ticket progression done from that earlier hit. And again, for me, for Omit, it has to be down to the SMGs finding these routes, threading the needle between all these players on the defense. I think Stanley thinks he's done that, but he's about to get surprised from behind. Yeah, Darkside, nice play to make sure that Stanley doesn't cause any havoc. And now, if you're your Royal Spartans on the defense, you're starting to get players in to be nuisance to those players coming off a spawn as well.
Oh, they just first alive, but has so little health. Will eventually go down. Unfortunately, Darkside's going to be there as well. Spartan just staggering them out for respawn. Brack, while he gets a kill, surely he can't do it all himself. Isn't going to work out. And Omit is so well off the rip here, and somehow have only converted that to 1 tick on B.
5 seconds. Only choice in this situation is to just full send it. Nobody is going to touch in time, so the Royal Spartans will rest easy that they did not lose that offensive round, although should be said, things were definitely very shaky off the start. Omit get, what was it? I think it was the first 6 kills back-to-back in full map control. And I think the problem for them there was ultimately that they didn't commit to either of the 2 points. They split their forces to try and get some kind of progression early on towards B. Perhaps they'd full sent it towards that point. Maybe things would look different in that round. But regardless, it is the Royal Spartans defense that wins out.
Well, this is... Well, we've got to just keep a close eye on everybody at this point, because for Omit GG, they had the opportunities to win these rounds and haven't managed to pull it out. Now, if they let this slip just one more time, it'll be a clean sweep on the control.
Spart with a spree in towards this round as well. Darkside doing what Darkside does best. It's read by Brack, but Darkside's going to win the fight regardless. Spart going to continue his spree as well. Royal Spartans are rolling with momentum into this round. Couple of players on towards A. It's a split on the defense. You've got players pushed up to deal with those off the spawn as well. And Omit now relying on another flanking play from Brack.
Big kill from Brack. Slows it down just a little bit. I mean, Royal Spartans doing kind of similar strategy here. They're on to both points, and getting that one thing on a B is very, very nice, but giving away any sort of map control can really cost you. You already see that Brack is looking for that flank.
You've got to be a little more active, though. Brack has to get involved here. Got to stop Royal Spartans. You've got to go now, and they've got a player ready for Brack to make the move. Somehow Brack actually finds value. Almost gets a look at the second as well, but it doesn't matter. Brack not able to stop that A capture. So the Royal Spartans here have been successful to add the extra 60 seconds to the clock now. They have a lot of time and a 5 life advantage to make this push towards B happen.
Can they find the angles? We all know it normally starts with a bit of a flank, but that's going to be 3 down, and if you're the Royal Spartans, it's a problem. You know there's going to be players in your spawn already, although I don't think they know Johnny's here as they get the double spawn.
Omit have a player very far up here. Johnny is a constant nuisance. I think they definitely know now, considering they are on the hunt for him. How much more damage can Johnny realistically do? Tagged up, should be dead to rights, and will be. Royal Spartans now relying on a flanking player of their own. It's not Darkside this time around, though. It is going to be Gunzy. Omit will have to expend some resources to make sure Gunzi isn't an issue. It is currently just going to be a 1 versus 1 to deal with that player. Arstes thinks he might have the timing, but loses the gunfight. Gunzi continues to be a nuisance, and now you're starting to lose fights on the other side as well. Royal Spartans closing the vice on this round. 60 seconds to go. Now they're starting to make the move.
That clock stopped and lives to spare. It is a good position, but they just lost the 2 kills they didn't want to lose. Darkside is just trying to keep everything going and everything flowing, and well, there's another wave of kills, and he's trying to find the last player. Not going to be good enough for the Royal Spartans. They'll try and capture this without the benefit of a player hitting the houses.
Yeah, you're not going to know about Stanley as well. Stanley comes through. Stanley, doesn't win the second fight. Spark going to do it, but it is enough damage to make sure that Spark doesn't survive the engagement. Back with the knife out, switches towards the AR and gets the kill with the Amez. It's trade, but that's okay if you're Omit in this position. You got one player to deal with. Prolu is the biggest player for Royal Spartans right now if they want to close things out here. But he's being hunted down, and Johnny's going to win that fight. And that's the ace in the hole for Royal Spartans in this round as the round's starting to fall away from them.
20 seconds to go. Need a bit of a miracle. They are really stacking out towards it here, but it will not be clean. Gunzi finds Standy already. They'll stop this clock again. Nade's going out. Do they have the trophies to help out? At the moment, you can see no. Spark's already found a kill, but Brack is on the flank. They're going to know this as well, and Brack is moving as he knows that second tick is in. They're looking for him, and Brack wins the gunfight. Will he get the second as well? Brack, the hero in this case, has broken it down just enough for his team to come and reinforce him. A 6th streak for Brack has allowed Omit GG to stay in this control.
Yeah, how many times are these offenses from either side being broken up by flanking plays? If it's not Stanley for Omit, it's Brack. If it's not Darkside, it's Gunzi for the Royal Spartans. And it is going to be Brack in this situation who finishes that round out on 6 in a row. Nobody was keeping an eye on it. They were laser focused on the point. Didn't have any lives to spare. And Brack is able to make this miraculous play. Completely cleans house. And almost perfectly plays his life in that situation as well, right? Doesn't get over aggressive. It is very easy to find that first kill and completely fly out the second. But Brack just plays around the coverage he has just for the moment. Able to win out on crucial fights. So Omit will survive that brush with death. Crucially, Brack goes into this round on a 6 spree. A couple of objective kills here, and that cruise missile will be his. So keep an eye on him for that. But right now, I've got to say, across the board, this feels like a Brack versus Spart show.
Let's see who's the better player, though. MGG now have to do the difficult job of winning. And so far, just getting a little bit of time on to wait. That's what you want, a good start.
This is surprisingly respectful from Royal Spartans here on the defense. Finally, they are going to go for it. Want to be quicker than that. Roland now starting to get himself in an advanced position here. Decides, yeah, it's go time. You've lost a couple of players towards the middle of the map, and now you lose Proloot as well. So Omit now doing what they did again, splitting their forces ever so slightly. You've got players into advanced positions. If Stanley can be a nuisance around the spawn here, this could be a quick round for Omit.
Well, they split it again here. They're going to still try and get A down as well as get B, and players everywhere, and so far so good. A will go towards them. OGG also getting the B transition, going down pretty well. They have lost their player towards the back line. Brack bringing a trophy to reinforce. And this push will be successful if they can find a couple more kills. Already that second tick is in.
Brack now looking to find the kills here. Royal Spartans can't get close. Car bomb goes off. Is it good enough? No, it is not. Omit GG blast their way through Royal Spartans in that round. Just when you think Royal Spartans might have got this one in the bag, Omit pull a huge clutch out of their backsides. We're going to round 5.
Well, Omit GG fighting back every single step of the way on this control. Who walks away with round 5 on what felt like a little bit of a foregone conclusion for Royal Spartans.
Man. Could not be closer. I was convinced after the first couple of rounds and even deep into the third round that the Royal Spartans had this one convincingly in the bag. But you've seen standout performances from the likes of Standy and Brack in particular over the last couple of rounds that have done so much damage to the Royal Spartans. And granted, Johnny and Arstes are doing a lot of objective work alongside. Has to be those players that you give a lot of love to at the moment if you're Omit. They are the reason that you are in this game still. Now we go into the first final round here. Omit looking for a way to get things going on the offense, but you got to be cautious. You do not want to lose the first wave of gunfights and almost immediately get spawn trapped.
Omit have done this a few times. Get a good start onto A and then make the transition if they get a second wave of kills. It is about that second wave of kills, and RC has found one, and we'll call out that player on the flank as well. They've done so well so far, and well, that's a wipe. They're going to do it again. A secured. They're already heading towards B. Omit GG, basically a playbook for them at this point.
Yeah, and if I'm Royal Spartans, just give up A. A is totally gone here. Now look for some map control. Omit have a couple of players pushed all the way up. You've dealt with one of them. Are you going to read the second? Arstes is still in a position to be a total nuisance, and Royal Spartans are aware of it, but now Brack is using that cruise missile in a slow fashion. What value does he find? I think he just found Gunzy in that position. It allows Arstes to push all the way through here, and now Omit doing exactly what they did in the last round once again.
Fighting from the back, Burden. So far, they haven't got as much as they would like here. Realistically, that first tick isn't even in. They are just fighting TDM style. Johnny eventually will get that first tick. Waiting for the trophies, waiting for reinforcements. Unless they find the kills, this push will fall by the side, but that's 3 down. Now they will stack in at the same time. Prolu desperately hurling lead towards the side to try to get it to slow. Finds one. Just a 2-stack now, but with those kills, this is done. Surely Omit have just rocked them in 3 straight rounds, and they take the control.
Wow. Final moments of that control. Omit completely take control of the map. Phenomenal performance. It is a back-to-back mirror rounds from Omit. In the first offense, they are able to do, well, get away with gunfights and then effectively stack the point for control. That final round as well, I mean, that is just a perfect play call. I think it was Standy and Arstes where the player pushed all the way up towards both back buildings respectively. And I gotta say, for the Royal Spartans, I'm kind of surprised at their reaction there in those closing moments, right? They had 4 players. Once they dealt with Arstes, watching the cross off the back of the spawn, Royal Spartans' choice to effectively hit the point directly, instead of doing what they've done successfully multiple times, which is sending somebody like Darkside or Gunzy on a flanking play, they don't choose to do that. They choose to hit it dead on and lose all of those gunfights. Maybe if they've chosen to send a couple of players or even one on the flank, things might have looked different there for the Royal Spartans. I think just held up a little bit too much in those closing moments.
Well, unfortunately for them, once they started losing those gunfights, they just couldn't find their way back into it. And well, Omit GG find themselves leading in this series again after losing a very dominant S&D. Technically, all the respawns have been Omit GG's, and well, the next game mode also a respawn as we head towards Vault Hardpoint.
Man, what a back and forth control. Again, that first round from the Royal Spartans, albeit I think, you know, going back to the end of that first round, it felt like maybe it was partially Omit's fault, the fact that they weren't playing as well of a team as they have been in past games and matches this weekend. But from round number 3 onwards, Omit really started to fly. A lot of it down to AR presence from Brack, who was absolutely frying. Back to Season 2 performance for him, and also constant SMG pressure from the likes of Standy and Johnny being nuisances. Omit win it out there. That is a huge win for them. Not just to take the 2-1 series advantage here, but doing it by way of reverse sweep in the control is going to give them a massive boost of momentum moving into this next hardpoint.
It certainly is, and now we're looking to get through this game. You've got to remember, even if you win this one, you then go into the lower bracket final. We've got another good team coming up against you, and then the grand final. So it's certainly just the first stage of a journey here for either of these two teams. So with GG, I mean, they'll probably just want this done in 3 so they can get it gone and concentrate on the next one. It's a lot of COD to play today.
Yeah, it is, right? I mean, let's say theoretically this goes to Game 5, the next one goes to Game 5. The Grand Finals is a best of 7. So theoretically speaking, if we see a team go from this round of play all the way to the finals and push to the distance, we could have a really long day of Call of Duty ahead of us.
Certainly can. It turns out the players are going to the toilets after every single map. So certainly feeling the pressure here in this one, and while we wait for them to get back and run this one up, we can go through everything that you may have missed so far in the broadcast today and yesterday. Let's start with talking a little bit about the bracket. Of course, there was a long game of series of games last night, and some of the teams we said goodbye to are some teams we may have expected to be here today. And realistically, when we talk about some of the surprises, I still think one of the major ones is probably the Magpies. Nobody thought they would be top 2.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have this conversation at length later on in the Grand Final, Bryce, but it is worth saying now, it has to be said that these guys have shocked everybody this weekend. Now, if you look at this roster at face value, it shouldn't be a surprise, right? I mean, Mission Magpies are a roster composed of players that, if you've been watching just challenges on the whole, not even Europe specifically, you'll be aware of the likes of Harry and Barnes, who, Bance, excuse me, Barnes, oh my god, I just went super posh. Bance, who, you know, both have had appearances, long stay appearances in professional Call of Duty esports, be it in the CWL or in CDL. They've also kind of flanked by the likes of Mythix and Henry, who are both up-and-coming players, but at different steps in their career, I would say. Like, Mythix is an AR player that has been firing on all cylinders for the last 3 to 4 years, I want to say, and has been a super underrated AR at that, and even more so on this team, considering Harry is kind of the standout player, if you will. I got to give a lot of up to Henry, though. I mean, this guy has been kind of silently making a lot of moves over the last couple of years in European challenges. He is a phenomenal flex player and really can do a lot for the roster. So for me, Henry has to be the guy that we have to give him a lot of love. Even if he isn't necessarily the main star on this team, that is undoubtedly Harry. Henry has been doing a lot of slaying this weekend. But Mission Magpies, again, the 4th best team in Europe, I think, by far, looking back at Season 2 of Challengers Elite coming into this event. And they have proven that is not the case here at Texas.
Well, might not be the case here, but still not quite champions yet. And we'll face off against one of these teams potentially as we move forward. Omit GG and the Royal Spartans. It will be series point for Omit in this hard point if they can get it done. The Spartans can obviously stop them being put on the chopping block if they can take it to a map 5.
I want to see that get map 5. I know, obviously, you know, we had a long day yesterday, Bryce, but I'm ready for a long day of 3 matches here. If every single one went the distance, I would be a happy boy, considering Challenges is absolutely so fun to watch. So many different storylines thrown in the mix here at Texas, and a game 5 between Royal Spartans and Omit GG would be the icing on the cake for the first match today. Will we get it, though? Royal Spartans managed to take game number 1. Now looking, or taking them again with 2, excuse me. They did not do that well in the end of that hard point, but it was ultimately a close one. So they want to have a solid start here. They do exactly that with the opening wave of gunfights, but now Omit GG here looking for a way back through.
Well, so far at the moment, a little bit of bleeding as Omit GG try to get control back of P1. They'll do that, and it's a good time for them. Take as much scrap time as you can. Probably not all of it, because you will see the Spartans push through P1, but they're ready for P2 as well. And that's really where there is money to be earned.
Yeah, this is that money hard point here. Opportunity for Omit GG to take full control, as long as you then don't let flanking players through. This is what players like Darkside are known for, though. They've already been found out. Now have to switch tack just ever so slightly, try and cause some carnage at the front line of Omit GG, and will not be able to do all that much damage. So things pretty stable here for Omit. You're starting to lose your pressure around the front, though, and now Royal Spartans, they are knocking at the door. I think they're about to kick that thing in.
Just done a wonderful job there, Spart, to basically tell the players he needed to and open it up completely. Brack looking for a way back into it, trying to fight down the side of Paul here, and because it hasn't worked out, his teammates can't make the push towards.
Yeah, this is really difficult here for Omit. Now looking to fight this one from the back. Gunzy recognizes it, sees without utility, will be making the con, but you've just lost Prolute. So now Gunzy towards the point. A lot to do. 3 players in his POV. Not even going to find the first. Just needs to try and play his life while the rest of the team do the damage. And towards the backline, Darkside will pick up the frag versus Bragg. So that's a huge break and a huge hold coming through from the Royal Spartans. We said that could have been a massive moment for Omit GG. And now that's null and void.
Well, so far onto P3, and after these, should be able to find that player. Knows where he's going to be as well, but just trying to play his life at the same time. Will eventually get cut down here. Hasn't looked at the step. Wait a second, almost gets perfect timing. Doesn't work out for him though. And for Omit GG, just trying to bleed a little bit of time on the P3, but as we all know, it's never easy to lock it down.
I think sometimes it can be quite deceptive getting a lot of time off this hard point, right? This is not, generally speaking, a kill where you ever feel like you're going to go up more than 20 seconds to the opposition, but you do falter at getting key control of the power positions. Well, you might have to do exactly that. That is the case for Spart right now towards the back line. A lot to do in this position. Needs hold on towards Art, and he is doing exactly that. Now you've got help from the teammates as well. If you take down Brack, this is perfect play from the Royal Spartans. You garner the scrap time on hold, and now you're getting yourself set up for the next hill.
For the Royal Spartans, opportunity beckons. A hold here will put them so far in the lead. Omit GG, though, trying to make their way through. You can keep an eye on Sandy. He will be one of the key players in this, as everybody else winning their gunfights from the Royal Spartans. So No progress made yet towards breaking this. Brack is throwing shoulders towards the back. It's a good first gunfight. Pressure coming in from all angles, and Spart again. 2 shots, too good. And they will hold off against this. Surely, Arsenal's though, still alive, and it will be Spart. Of course it is. 3 streak, and they hold them at bay.
How many times are we going to see Spart make big plays like that this weekend? For Royal Spartans, he has been firing on all cylinders. Big performance in that control. Now a big performance here in this game as well, but still a little bit more work to do. You've lost those back spawns. Spart now on 5 in a row. Looking to a cruise missile will finally get shut down, but the damage has been done. Royal Spartans haven't quite blown a hole in this game for Omit just yet, but they have managed to garner themselves a somewhat significant lead. Now as we rotate towards P1, an opportunity to get a lot more time as well.
This game so far is feeling a bit Royal Spartans. They know they have to fight to not be eliminated here on this one, but then they get wiped completely. Johnny finds 3. Now trying to bleed the time on the P1 as he goes for a bit of a wrap himself. They might get good timing here. Help out his team.
Should do. Nice kills for Johnny. That's 5 now for him. Real Spartans now spawning out towards that art side. So opportunity here for Omit to close the lead between these two teams, sending Gunsy away. And I think Gunsy might have just got the perfect wraparound back towards the point here. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't immediately go straight for ammunition spawns, but it doesn't matter in the end. Royal Spartans now do accrue that scrap time. The spawn out happens regardless. RCT stuns up now, needs to go from trying to get kills to trying to play his life. That is not going to happen. And that is a perfect split from Royal Spartans to get control of P1, push out the spawns for Nu, and immediately flip them in. But it's not done yet. You still have to get a couple more gunfights here.
And well, those are the gunfights. Having a good time. The Royal Spartans, a little bit of pressure. You can see minimap populated by Omit GG. They're looking to try and lock this one down, and Spart is not going to get both, but at least gets his one, and Darkside will just continue to rock and roll and take back control of the point. For Omit GG, it's not going well.
Yeah, you need to find a way back in. If you're Omit, you're losing a lot of time here. You're bleeding this game away from you. Royal Spartans' control of these hard points has been exemplary over the last few kills. And I think they're going to hit this with the last couple of players. They don't really have much of a choice, though. Proloot is just watching them down. Irons, Darkside will pick up where Proloot left off as well. If it's not Darkside, it's Spart. If it's not Spart, it's Proloot. These guys are constantly streaking out right now. Royal Spartans here, commanding control of this game. And I said before, I didn't think they'd quite blown Omit out of the water, but here I think they have.
Well, it's going from bad to worse. Omit GG will need a bit of a miracle. Some time on P3, at least the lion's share of time would be lovely. But they need that, and then they need the great rotation into P4, and they can tie this game up. Right now, they are struggling just to deal with Darkside. They can't get him out.
They finally have dealt with those players now. Back 30 seconds. An opportunity here in this game for Omit to retake control. You've got RCTs pushed all the way forward. Those spawns are locked. Owner the fact that Brack is anchoring them. Not a term that we've used in quite some time here in Call of Duty Esports, but we will use it here. RCTs, though, you're losing. So now Omit picking up whatever time they can on this old hard point. Royal Spartans will send a couple of players. If you lose them, it's not the end of the world because you should have those spawns locked in towards Nu, and you do. So Omit will put a slight dent in the advantage built up for Royal Spartans, but now they need to garner a full 60 here if they want to get all the way back into the game.
So far, they've done just about enough. Arsenal's starting to heat up as well. Dropping 20 at the moment in this one, and it's just trying to hold the players off. They know that this is defense in layers. Brack is just going for the long-range shot as well, but that's a double nade coming through, but it does kill Gunsy. This will be interesting to see just how close they get to actually taking this away, as MGG have done wonderfully on this rotation so far. They are getting the time. If they can find more kills, they can tie the game up.
You started to lose your presence around the front of the hard point, though. Johnny was being a nuisance, but Royal Spartans have just run straight past him. Omit now removed from the hard point here. Royal Spartans getting this back 20 seconds is not exactly ideal, so Omit could look to contest for it. At the very least taking off 5 spree, but still, I don't think there's any point anymore. So Omit have resigned themselves to just about bringing the lead down to 50 seconds or so, moving in towards the next hard point. That's going to have to be good enough. You now need to get the Bella look off P1. This is a hard point which, generally speaking, has been difficult to hold on to, but Stanley, albeit hasn't had the best game so far, 50-50, 14-16 in KD. now needs to go huge. Try and get some roaming kills around the hill with a sub.
Product already clearing them off that P1, and Royal Spartans now in the position where if they soak a little bit of P1, they're going to be in a dominant position, but that's a full wipe. And now Omit GG be like, all right, let's try and get about 20 more seconds onto this P1 before we lock down P2. Already, more kills going their way. Omit GG have turned this game around, more or less.
And if I'm Royal Spartans here, I don't hit this from one side. That's exactly what they're going to do, though. They're all going to flood in through you and through double doors here. Spart already tagged up, looking to try and overwhelm Asties. They do exactly that now. Good pre-fire on towards Stanley to try and take that final player down. If you get that time, great. But it's more important that you take that time away from Omit. That's exactly what they've done. And now you're Royal Spartans. You're starting to influence the spawns. Prolute gets Spart to spawn alongside him. It's now a 2 versus 3 hit around the backline for Nu.
Sandy actually going to go and just watch the middle of the map here, but all the pressure is coming from the back, and Sandy might have to get a little bit more involved, but they're still winning the gunfights. Omit GG. That's everything they needed to do. The back spawn is still for the Spartans. Omit are trying to put a genie back into the bottle. Not quite able to slow down this flood. Eventually, you're going to lose some of these trades. Reinforcements need to get here. Gunsy dives into the point, and they will take this away just based on spawn pressure.
Yeah, Omit just not able to replace their player around the back line. As soon as they lose that AR presence, now Royal Spartans able to flood through. Still 20 seconds worth fighting for. It's a full blue kill feed. Stanley on 6 in a row, trying to make it 7, and Johnny's going to take his own teammate off the spree. Omit will be looking for the back 15 seconds. Again, you lose AR presence around the back line, but it's okay because Johnny and Praka pick up exactly where Asties left off. You've now got Royal Spartans in a potential spawn trap here. You know they're going to be spawning towards ammunition side. This is a perfect opportunity for Omit to close this series out. Not necessarily on this hard point, but with this one and the next.
Omit have been kicking in the Royal Spartans for about 3 minutes. Non-stop carnage in the kill feed. And for Standy, trying to make his way forward. He has just gone berserk recently. Gordon Matt said he was like 14 and 16. He's now 21 and 17. Huge streak for them as well. Royal Spartans, though, trying to stabilize the ship. Well, they've just got a couple of kills, and there's about to be a tie game again.
If I'm Royal Spartans in this situation, I do not focus on this hard point whatsoever. You can't finish things here regardless of what happened. You have to make sure you push through towards Art. This push from Dark Side goes all right. Now you're starting to deal with pressure from the point. Stanley brings that cruise missile in to make sure he knows where these players are from Royal Spartans on this rotation, and he's dealing with them as well. Last player towards you gets cut down, and now Omit makes sure they have locked down this rotation towards Nu. Whatever time they get scrap and old is fine. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. What does matter is that you lock this hill down.
A completely tie game as we pop into P4. Held by Omit GG, the Spartans are moving. Got to try and take the first couple of kills, but already lost in the kill feed, and Darkside, he's alone, but is he outgunned? Finds the first. Has to be a hero now. No time for anything else, and down he falls. 10 seconds to the good, and Omit GG continue to run it, but Spart will find two, but one of them's a teammate. It's not good enough, and Omit GG have made the comeback on the hard point. They take the series 3-1 and move forward into the lower final.
How to blow a 100 to 60-80 lead in hardpoint. A masterclass by Royal Spartans there. Very unfortunate, and I will say, just phenomenally played from Omit on the whole. Their ARs really start to pick things up towards the back end of that game. Royal Spartans just really unfortunate that they were not able to hold the lead that they had. And I think, you know, again, there are fundamentals of the way certain map mode combinations play in Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and for